In the spring of 1933, Los Angeles was on a high. The talkies had taken over Hollywood. Every studio was booked solid, and the city was in full swing despite the Great Depression. The skyline was rising, radios were buzzing, and people believed Southern California was untouchable. Sun, movies, and modern life in perfect balance. But on March 10, 1933, just before 6 in the evening, that illusion cracked. At 5:54 p.m., a magnitude 6.4 earthquake erupted along the Newport-Inglewood fault zone, a line of weakness stretching through the Los Angeles basin. The epicenter hit near Long Beach, and the first tremor felt like a low growl before it turned into chaos. Within seconds, concrete split, glass shattered, and entire streets lurched. The shaking lasted less than a minute, but it changed California forever. Down in Long Beach, buildings folded like paper. The old brick storefronts and schoolhouses, built before modern codes, had no steel reinforcement, no seismic design, and no chance. Walls peeled off in chunks, ceilings caved in, and cars were crushed under falling masonry. Fires broke out where gas lines snapped. The downtown core looked like a bomb had gone off. In total, 115 people died, and damage was estimated between $40 and $50 million. A devastating blow in the middle of the Depression. The destruction was especially horrifying in the schools. Dozens of school buildings either collapsed or were badly cracked. Had the quake struck a few hours earlier, during class time, hundreds of children might have been killed. Photos of smashed classrooms and broken chalkboards were splashed across newspapers the next day, shocking the entire country. It was the moment that forced California to face its own fragility. Up in Los Angeles and Hollywood, the damage was lighter, but the shockwaves rattled everyone. In the studios, filming stopped mid-scene. Stage lights swayed, sets shuddered, and cameras tilted off their tripods. Some sound stages cracked, but the city's heart, the Dream Factory, held together. Still, the psychological hit was deep. For the first time, Hollywood's biggest stars and producers were reminded that even glamour couldn't protect them from the earth itself. The rumor that Hollywood sets had been flattened spread quickly, partly because the destruction looked so cinematic. When newsreel footage of collapsed Long Beach buildings aired, some viewers thought they were seeing movie backlots. The confusion fit the mythology. In a city built on illusion, people could believe that the studios themselves had fallen. The reality, though, was simpler. Production paused, repairs were made, and Hollywood rolled the cameras again within days. But the real legacy of the 1933 quake wasn't in Hollywood soundstages, it was in Sacramento's capital. Within 1 month, the state passed the Field Act, requiring all new public schools to be built under strict seismic safety standards and inspected by state engineers. It was a turning point, the first law in the United States to directly address earthquake safety in construction. Since then, no Field Act-approved school has ever collapsed in a quake. That single law has saved countless lives. The quake also changed how California thought about risk. Engineers began studying the Newport-Inglewood fault more closely, realizing how close it ran to populated areas. Cities began mapping liquefaction zones, retrofitting bridges, and replacing unreinforced brick buildings. Los Angeles, which had been building fast and cheap throughout the 1920s, now had to confront the price of speed. For the first time, architecture and safety shared the same conversation. Then there's the myth, the supposed on-set earthquake footage featuring comedian W.C. Fields, showing a studio shaking while he calmly drinks through it. The clip has circulated for decades as proof that Hollywood literally captured the quake on film, but it wasn't real. Historians later confirmed it was a staged publicity gag. Still, the story stuck because it said something true in spirit. Even when disaster hits, Hollywood keeps rolling. The aftermath was both tragic and transformative. Long Beach rebuilt slowly, with stronger materials and stricter codes. Los Angeles toughened its standards and re-examined its own vulnerabilities. Across the state, builders started reinforcing structures with steel, tying walls to roofs, and bolting frames to foundations. The 1933 quake didn't destroy Los Angeles. It made it smarter. Decades later, when new quakes hit, Sylmar in 1971, Whittier in 1987, Northridge in 1994, Experts traced their safety measures back to that night in 1933. The Field Act, the retrofits, the codes, the drills, all of it was born from one violent minute of shaking that turned a city's confidence into resolve. So no, the 1933 Long Beach earthquake didn't flatten Hollywood. It rattled it, and in doing so, it woke the entire state. It reminded Los Angeles that beneath all the glitz and glamour, it's still built on fault lines. But it also proved that California can take a hit and come back stronger every time. Because that's the story of Los Angeles, a place that breaks, rebuilds, and rolls the camera again as if nothing happened. The ground might move, the city might crack, but the lights always come back on. And when they do, the show goes on.